Another birthday. Crying out loud. I'm not even going to say how old I am now. It's getting to be a bit embarrassing. You know, having the same boyish looks, but getting old. Anyway, thanks to everybody who's given me their Facebook wishes. I couldn't believe how many messages I got. I must have a real following. Thank you very much, all. Love to Val Maddox. And Peter again. And onwards and upwards. Morning, all. Here again. Well, got a situation now where the Westminster paedophiles are raising their heads again, and I tried to get it in the last little work of art, but ran out of space, really. So just let me mention now, my father used to be a prison officer, high ranking in Wakefield Prison, where they had what was known a nonce wing, and this was for paedophiles and idiots that attack pensioners and rape old people and what have you, children, and they were all together because all the rest of the prisoners used to beat them up and stab them and all that. And it was in the days when they used to have to parade outside the cells with the pots to flush them away somewhere else. And he noted that every one of these weirdos, sexual deviants and what have you, had these florid pink cheeks, just like veins and that, but of real rosiness. And when all the rest of the face was white and soapy looking, they had these pink cheeks. And then when you see these things coming up like Cyril Smith and the likes of David Steele supporting him, and then MPs locked up with rent boys and this, that and the other, you notice a trail of people with these rosy cheeks. Well, here's a classic example, Sir Peter Morrison. Who used to pass himself off as a senior politician. Indeed he was. He was chairman of the Conservatives and ran this, that and the other, and even claimed that Mrs. Manningham Buller, who was then the MI5 chief, was his girlfriend. But it came out in this inquiry that's going on now into it all again that he had a penchant for young boys. And she got embarrassed by these accusations and disassociated herself from him. Next, Sir Peter Heyman, Maggie Thatcher's #1 man who she protected. Rent boys. Rosy cheeks. Not apparent on the photos because they're all in black and white, but look at Harvey Proctor, MP. Sued the Met for accusing him of being part of this paedophile ring in a house somewhere where they were murdering kids. But lo and behold, he had a previous for what they were describing as dalliances with rent boys. And he pleaded guilty to that, thought nothing of it. Accepted practice in the House of Commons. Lovely people, aren't they? Eh? And now they're showing the real colours. So when you get people speaking out now, especially with this Brexit nonsense, and all these weirdos poncing and posing, just look at them. How many of them have rosy cheeks? And you can bet your life that you know somebody with these cheeks and you think they're weird. Makes you think, doesn't it? When you think you've got a way of spotting them, these MPs now, and people that you know in society, the Daily Mail health supplement has come up with another belter. You can inject your rosy cheeks now with Botox, and the rosiness will disappear. So there you go. They can disguise themselves now and wander about at will. Unbelievable. Slightly, well, a much more serious subject. Isn't it time we started prosecuting the doctors for neglect and stupid decisions resulting in deaths, rather than all this nonsense about what a wonderful NHS we have, leaders in the world and all that, when we got patients and children dying round us? Only in the last week we've got hospitals facing fines if they miss sepsis signs. And then fines that come out of treatment money, that is. So that's a load of nonsense. Why don't they just prosecute the one who's made the mistake? And talking of mistakes, we've got this poor little girl here, Marcy Tadman. Well, this is Dr. Claire Very, who decided she's so qualified she didn't have to do any tests. She just decided this little girl didn't have sepsis. And now what's happened to her? Well, she's apologised for making such a mistake. And now she's carrying on. What the hell's going on? If that isn't a classic of a criminal charge for manslaughter, I don't know what is. What makes doctors so special they can do things like that? Well, here's another classic example. Darrant Valley Hospital, Dartford, Kent. A little girl was born there, and the trust now have decided that they unreservedly apologise that the care provided fell below the acceptable standard and caused this tragedy. Now, this poor little child now, having been dragged through the courts for 3 years, has been awarded £12 million out of the NHS budget for that hospital. Can you believe that? And then she deserves it. Her vision is severely impaired. She suffers from epilepsy. She has to be fed through a tube and has no independent mobility. Now, somebody has made this terrible mistake at the birth of the child, which deprived her brain of oxygen, for the hospital to apologise in that matter. So why haven't they been prosecuted and fined and given the compensation they well deserve? No heads roll, so they carry on. Next case, easy done. Just apologise, unacceptable standards, sorry about that. Next. This is Para, Dennis Hutchins. Proudly wearing his medals. Sold down the river by the government. They've had a day off from kiddie fiddling and rent boy activities and what have you, and dalliances here, there and everywhere. And what have they done? They've let poor old Dennis be prosecuted for a shooting 45 years ago of an IRA supporting demonstrator. What an absolute disgrace. And then they're going to try him because it's a Northern Ireland offence with a judge only, and God knows how independent and reliable he'll be in Northern Ireland. But his team are trying to get the trial by jury, and then what chance has he got? Because he's going to have an Irish jury. And then, lo and behold, out of the blue, they say he can have legal aid. Well, there's no chance of that because the Para Association are going to do a collection, fundraising or what have you, and get him an independent barrister not chosen by the government. This fella is going to be railroaded right through the courts, just as an example. And once again, the IRA who didn't have any prosecutions made against them, have won again. What are they doing? They're bloody absolute amazingly bad. You just can't win. You gotta laugh, haven't you? That is Scotland. The SNP can't give a decent argument for independence, and if they did, they'd lose all the subsidies they're getting now and be absolute losers. They've already had to put up tax and everything, and now they're getting no bloody oil revenue. They're absolutely knackered. But what about the Scottish football team? Talk about losers. Got beaten 3-0 by a team that has only won 8 times ever. 76 in the popularity list or something. Crying out loud. They can't even win at curling now. And what do? Whinge and moan and whine. Pretend to be bloody fouled and everything else. They're bloody hopeless. Get a grip. Lucky draw at rugby, which is rather sickening, but I've got to admit to that. They did well the second half there, but they didn't win. Again. Losers. About it. Anyway, I was looking at my playback of this little number, and I look like I've got rosy cheeks. Anyway, I have to leave you worrying about that one. Onwards and upwards. Night all, and don't forget, keep your eyes open, they're everywhere.